it's Jessii Vee, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you some very creepy stories about ball pits. This is a super nostalgic kind of video because all of us played in these at some point in our lives, probably mostly as kids. But it's basically this giant pool filled with thousands of tiny little different colored balls. And yes, I'm gonna be saying the B word this entire video, so just get used to it. I know you might be looking at this topic and being like, why is this that interesting, Jessii? But trust me, you will never look at your childhood the same after watching this video. Before I get started though, I have one of the most exciting announcements of the entire year. I wait for this moment for 12 months and we're finally here, and I'm finally announcing that we have our Halloween mystery boxes up on the website right now. We have 300 of them, and yes, there are 3 golden tickets hidden somewhere inside of them. So I'm just gonna show you some of the things that you can get in your box, starting with this scarf that I'm wearing right now. This is the spiderweb scarf, but there's also a bat scarf, and I love how Luna from Sailor Moon is just like chilling underneath it. But there's also 2 different adopt a gnomes that you can get in your box. We have the vampire gnome and we have the skeleton gnome. They are just so cute, and the detail is amazing. Like literally underneath his cape, there's this really cool bat pattern, and you can see his like little teeth underneath his beard. There are 2 different light up Halloween bracelets. One has ghost charms, the other one has jack-o'-lantern charms. I have opened this because I was wearing it, but I'll show you guys how it works. You just twist it, and then as you can see, it lights up. This would be so cool if you're still going trick-or-treating at night or going to like a Halloween party. I just think it's awesome. There is a Halloween notebook. It says peculiar and then Jessii Vee underneath. This is from our design on the website. And then on the first page, we have an orange sheet, but all the pages are lined for you. And then for that notebook, there are 2 different pens that you can get. I love the packaging on these, and what's so cool is that they're each scented different. This one is strawberry, this one is black cherry. They smell amazing, and I love how they have sugar skulls on them. And then there are 3 different zombie stress balls. I know these are so silly, but I cannot stop playing with these. Watch. And it goes back in so slowly, look. I don't know, I'm like obsessed. And like I said, there are 3 different golden tickets you might find in your box. The first one is to do an actual virtual collab with me on this channel. The second prize is to have a personalized video from me. And the third one is to have a handwritten letter from me and a signed art piece. So if you find a golden ticket in your box, it'll have a code on it, and all you have to do is email us the code to get your prize. So Halloween boxes are always very limited quantity, so if you would like one, I have put a link down below in the description. All right guys, so let's get started. First, talking about the history of ball pits. A ball pit is nothing but a big empty hole with a bunch of plastic spheres dumped inside. But there's also something strange and special about it. People say it feels like they are half swimming and half free falling. It kind of feels like they're just inside this giant gumball machine. And for the better part of 50 years, the ball pit has been a main attraction of the childhood experience for millions of kids across the globe. You see them at amusement parks, Chuck E. Cheese, especially at McDonald's. But it can all be traced back to a man named Eric McMillan, who was the inventor of the ball pits. He was the world's leading designer of children's play centers, and his inspiration for the ball pit is a little bit strange. He said he had been standing in his kitchen looking at a container of pickled onions when he thought, wouldn't it be cool if you can crawl into one of those? And then he decided to try it in real life. The first ball pit he created was filled with 40,000 balls, and people went crazy over it. And the biggest one he ever made was filled with 80,000 balls. Zoos in Houston and Denver even have ball pits for their mongooses, and the Indianapolis Zoo created one for its meerkats. So not only do little humans have these, the animals do as well, which I think is so funny. And I feel like everybody watching right now has been in a ball pit at least once in their lives. Comment the soccer ball emoji if you have, and comment the crying face emoji if you haven't. I'm gonna go through the comments and see which one wins, but I know it's gonna be the soccer balls. I remember as a kid just zooming down the slides and being tossed right into them. They always felt super cold and maybe a little bit gooey, and that's the only thing that really disturbed me about ball pits when I was a kid. The fact that they would be like impossible to properly clean. Because think about it, there are hundreds of kids playing in them every single day, and they drool, they're snotty, they're sweating, and maybe they're having potty accidents. We don't really know. But no employee is able to like sit there and clean 40,000 of them. So to me, it's just like germ central. I even came across a fact in my research that said that ball pits are dirtier than a toilet seat. And one particularly extreme tale tells of a 6-year-old kid finding a pair of rusty scissors at the bottom of a McDonald's ball pit. But they proceeded to buy the kid off with the free ice cream so he wouldn't really tell anybody about it. I have read so many stories from McDonald's employees that talk about how like kids bring their food into the play places with them. So it's said that the bottom of the pit is covered with stale chicken nuggets and half-eaten cheeseburgers, which is so disgusting. And when you combine kids jumping around and eating junk food, there's definitely going to be accidents happening here. Kids throwing up is apparently a very common thing, and that would obviously infect the ball pits that you're in. And I read this really gross fact from a Chuck E. Cheese employee that said that when a kid throws up, they're obviously unable to properly clean it, so they have to cover the smell with this spray that apparently smells like cotton candy. So if you're ever playing in a Chuck E. Cheese ball pit and you suddenly smell all this cotton candy, get out of there, because they're trying to cover up something. I even read somewhere that they found a dead body at the bottom of one of these before, but that was unconfirmed. I tried to look a little bit more into it, but who knows? There is, however, a true story about these teenagers being caught gluing razor blades to the balls. And I mean, you literally have to be evil to do something like that. But I'm just really, really glad they were caught. So now I'm gonna tell you a really disturbing story called bite marks. A mother took her eager 3-year-old son to a fast food restaurant for lunch. The boy finished his lunch quickly and asked his mom if he could go play in the play area. And she watched as the boy crawled through the tunnels, went down the slide, and jumped into the ball pit. He jumped up and down on the brightly colored balls, dove into them, and buried down underneath them. And the boy had been playing for about 10 minutes when all of a sudden he stopped and began to cry extremely loudly. So obviously the mother rushed right over to her son, picked him up, asked him what was wrong, and the little boy was wailing and pointing to his leg. She saw these 2 little red spots on his skin, and she thought that he must have just bumped into something sharp, whether it was on the slide or when he jumped into the ball pit. But just in case, she still took him to the hospital. A doctor examined the little boy in the emergency room and told the mother that the marks were a snake bite. And the doctor gave the boy an antidote for the snake poison. And they had to keep him in the hospital overnight for observation. How terrifying is that? When you were a kid and you went to a play place, there is no way you thought there would be a snake at the bottom of the ball pit. And then I have a story about Ronald McDonald. I read about 8 different creepy stories that talked about how Ronald McDonald lurks in the ball pits waiting to grab onto your leg to pull you down into another dimension where he can devour your soul. And yes, that does seem a little bit extreme, but this clown actually used to really scare me as a kid. There's a legend about kids that kept disappearing from this one McDonald's in the States. The parents would watch them climb into the ball pit, their head would go underneath, and they would never resurface. So of course the parents would jump in and try and find their kid. And after this happened about 6 times, the restaurant had to completely empty their ball pit. And people were standing around expecting to see the worst. But once it was cleaned out, there was no kids at the bottom of it. It was just empty, as if they had just vanished from existence. So they filled the ball pit back up and they just went about their business. And one night when an employee was shutting down the restaurant, he walked into the play place just to make sure that everybody was out before he shut it down, turned off the lights, locked the doors, and from the side of his eye, he saw this shadowed figure in the distance. It was just crouched amongst the colored balls, as if this employee was the prey and he was about to get pounced on. So he decided to look over very slowly, and he swears that he saw this red hair and pale face before it quickly sunk underneath the surface. How creepy is that? Imagine like Ronald McDonald just like lurking amongst amongst all of the ball pits. That is terrifying to me. There has always just been something so off about Ronald McDonald. I actually wanted to do like a whole video about different creepy McDonald's play stories because there are so many, especially some coming from employees. So if you want me to do that, give this video a thumbs up and let me know because maybe I'll do that in October. Anyways though guys, that is the end of today's video. Don't forget if you would like a Halloween mystery box, I have linked them down below. But I hope you have an awesome rest of your day and I will see you in my next video. Bye!